What's going on, family? Thank you for joining me one more time for another episode of Malachi Speaks. This is actually episode 7. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about why we give. And, a lot of people get kind of hung up in church when they say, it's offering time, church. And then sometimes they say, yay. Or sometimes people say, oh, God, here they go wanting our money again. You can see it very responsive depending on where you're going or either who you sit beside. It can be completely hilarious sometimes, the response that people give when it's time to give. But giving actually stretches beyond just in the church. But I'm going to start at the church for a second. The reason why we give, first off, is because it's expected of us. God wants our 10%. It said, bring this house into the storehouse that there might be meat in my house. Off top, off your gross income, that's like everything that you bring in, not just the portion that you see on your paycheck, but like the total amount that you're supposed to get paid before Uncle Sam get his chunk out of it. And you're supposed to give a tenth of that off top. Now, the one thing I do like about God is at least God allows us to give our portion back to God. But the government, they just kind of take theirs before we even see it. So I do like that about God. Thanks, dude. But that's just off top. Now, first off, we have to remember that in our giving, we're not really giving away our own possessions. These are things that God has blessed us with. So actually it all, in essence, belongs to God in the first place. But He's allowing us to be a steward over it just to kind of practice and see, where your heart is. They say your treasure is where your heart is. So a lot of times giving is a thing of the heart. It doesn't have anything to do with your wallet. It doesn't have anything to do with your mind. But it's usually a heart thing. But sometimes, your wallet and your mind kind of get in conflict with your heart about giving. Because sometimes it's hard out there, especially being in the economic crisis, as they say we're in right now, in a recession. Sometimes it's hard to actually, give in church as much as you probably would want to, because you're thinking about all the other things that you could be doing with your money. But you know what? The safest place for your money to be is in the hands of God. And if you really, really trust God with your finances, you shouldn't have to worry about anything. They say, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor a seed begging for bread. So if you're righteous in your giving and you continue to be faithful in your giving, you'll never have to lack for anything. You may not always have everything you would want to have, or that your mind can conceive that you should want to have, or whatever. But you won't need for anything, and I can promise you that. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that can testify to the same thing. But even beyond your tithe, you want to give an offering unto God. This is above your tithe. This is the extra sacrifice to say, God, I don't only just trust you with my tithe, the thing that you require of me, but I'm going to give you extra. I'm going to step out on faith and give you some more over the top. Now, my church, we have what's called a love offering, which is basically a gift to the pastor. Just saying thank you, blessing the pastor, that kind of thing. And also, sowing into the pastor's ministry, and that way you receive the prophet's reward or whatever. But also, some churches have what they call a ministry of kindness offering, which is an offering where you can actually give to those less fortunate than you are. A benevolence offering, some may call it. But you can actually give to people that are less fortunate, maybe for mission projects in the church or anything like that. So there's plenty of opportunities to give at church, but there's also plenty of opportunities just to give on a daily basis. I mean, you may just be at work or at school one day, and you may just feel it on your heart to provide somebody with lunch, or to bless somebody with a couple of dollars. Or you may have a lot of clothes in your closet, and you may know a friend of yours who needs an outfit for a job interview. You give that to them. Giving is a thing of the heart. It's about you give out of your abundance or your lack. Some people don't have, but they give. I mean, it's a story in the Bible talks about how, people were giving at the temple, and how it was the lady who came in and she gave 2 pennies. And, the priest said that her offering was actually worth more than what everybody else had given, because that was all she had. She gave up everything. And sometimes, God wants our all. God wants us to present ourselves, as our bodies as living sacrifices unto Him. So, I could talk about giving all day long. I could talk about offerings. But long story short, it's a matter of the heart. You give from the heart. It starts there. It ends there. Be blessed. Make room for more. And the only way to make room for more is through your giving. I may talk about this again later, because I feel like I just kind of brushed over it. I'm not really feeling like I'm having the ability to dig deep into a lot of these things. But if you have any questions, please send them to me. MalachiSpeaks@urbanaudacity.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Give me your comments and your observations about how I can make this better, because if I become better and I make this broadcast better, we can all be better. Love you all. Be blessed. Keep God first. Keep your head up. Keep your eyes open. Allow God to lead you in everything you do. Make your minutes count. See you next time. God bless.
Heaven only knows. Heaven